Hello. Of all the sports, I think there are more good books probably written about cricket than any other sport. It lends itself to good cricket writing. So, let's say thousands, hundreds of, if not thousands, of great cricket books, and I've probably read hundreds myself. I wanted to talk about a cricket book. I wanted to focus on one particular book today. I was looking through my bookshelves of the cricket books, and there's all sorts of ones, the quite well known ones. And I came across a book that was slightly unusual I want to talk about today, and it's called, of course, that's all back to front on this video, Harold Gimblett, The Tormented Genius of Cricket, written by David Foote. I came across this book and I remember reading it probably 20 years ago. I probably found it from a second-hand bookshop. I really enjoyed it at the time, and I've just reread it again over the last week, and it's a really entertaining book. It's quite short, about 140 odd pages, written by David Foote, who's a cricketing journalist, and he's written several books about cricket, about a cricketer, a Somerset cricketer called Harold Gimblett. Okay, David Foote, the author, watched Harold Gimblett as a boy. David Foote was a cricket-loving boy. He used to go and watch Somerset play cricket, and Harold Gimblett was one of the players he used to go and watch. So there was that sort of boyhood love of this person before he became a sort of professional journalist and professional writer, which adds something to the story. It's very interesting. There's some personal interest for me because I was brought up in Somerset, and he talked about, in the book, he talks about places that I know. So there's personal interest. He talks about playing for against Lansdowne Cricket Club in Bath. Lansdowne Cricket Club's just down the road from where I'm sat now. He makes his debut, I think, or his first century in Frome, and he also plays in Wells, which is the town I was brought up in. So there's a lot of sort of personal interest for that for me. What's interesting about the whole book as a whole, it's a very nice story about a cricketer. What's interesting about the cricketer is that he had these sort of mental health problems. I don't want to just focus on that, but recently I've done a few videos about mental health. I thought, hang on, yeah, this is quite interesting. The title of the book, The Tormented Genius of Cricket. So Harold Gimblett, as a cricketer, he was a stalwart of Somerset for a couple of decades. From 1935 to 1954 he was playing for Somerset. He scored numerous sixes. He was known for his swashbuckling style. He scored loads and loads of runs. He played just 3 times for England. He was a very entertaining cricketer, and he was a legend in Somerset. But he was also had this mental health issue, these problems that came to light later on in his career, and that's very, very sensitively detailed in this book, and it makes it quite a, it's quite a entertaining but sad read, actually. Most of the story in the book came from Harold Gimblett himself. He actually got in touch with the author David Foote towards the end of his life and said, I'd like you to write this biography of me. And he recorded his stories into a tape recorder, and David Foote, the author, based the book mainly on those tape recordings. Obviously he also interviewed his colleagues and so on and so forth, but a lot of it comes out of Harold Gimblett's mouth himself. So Harold Gimblett talks about his own battles with mental health. He was known to be quite taciturn, sullen, could be quite angry, withdrawn, he could be cutting at times, and Gimblett himself describes how by the time he was in his late 30s, he was finding things very, very difficult. He was on electroconvulsive therapy at some point by the age of 38, and he got to these kind of withdrawn, depressive states. He came to hate things that he previously loved. He came to hate cricket in a way. He came to hate, or some of the people involved with cricket. He worked for a long time at Millfield School after he retired as a cricketer, and he said even then he came to hate Millfield School. It was so it's quite a sad way that he ended his life with this rancor over him, and eventually he took his own life in 1978, age 62. He took his own life with a overdose of some of the many pills that he was taking for his condition. So it's a good book. So it's a really interesting book because it's slightly different from the norm. When you read this, actually, I started looking into sort of this thing about suicide amongst cricketers. I mean, I don't want to be macabre about it, but I was reading up in the last week. There's another guy called David Frith, actually. He's written a book about ex-cricketers who committed suicide. For some reason, the suicide rate amongst ex-cricketers is twice as high as it would be amongst the general population. I recently read Johnny Bairstow's autobiography about his father and how his father, David Bairstow, was found hanged, age 48. You know, it's very, very sad. There's a feeling that cricket does induce quite a lot of anxiety because it's, you know, it's such an unforgiving game, really. Unlike other sports, if you're out when you're playing cricket, that's it, you know, and then you've got possibly days to mull over your own failure, and then the whole thing about being it's such an intense game as a professional, some people struggle when they're no longer doing it. But so Harold Gimblett, Tormented of Genius of Cricket by David Foote, very unusual book, not one of the most well-known cricketers, a sort of second string if you like. Beautifully written book, entertaining, quite sad, and you know, anyone who loved cricket would certainly get something out of it. Thank you very much.